Hey everybody, Slightly Slanted Sleuth here. Joined with us today is Aaron, Aaron School of our Australia School of Esoterica, or did you change your name?
No, that's it.
That's it. So how's
Yep.
it been down under, brother?
It's good. Winter's passed, spring's here, hot weather's coming back, so it's awesome.
And which brings me to here. I'm going to show you the opposite to what you just said. Is I'm sitting in my garage freezing my nards off. Yeah, I'm in Minnesota, freezing.
Has it been cold there this autumn?
Oh yeah, it's always. I mean, cold as in
Colder
Minnesota
than
cold?
usual?
No, but it's been 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah.
So it's what's that Celsius, zero?
Yep. About that. We've hit 100 already a couple of times this spring. So we're ramping up for a super, super hot summer by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's what they say that the Atlantic or the south south, what is it? The Antarctic anomaly or whatever they call it.
Yep.
And explain what that is. What does an Australian think of that?
Well, I live in South Australia, which is, if you look at a map of Australia, it's right in the center at the bottom on the coastline. So we get a lot of Antarctic storms that come off of the Antarctic Peninsula and across the ocean. So our weather's really susceptible to that. When we get a big Antarctic low come over, it drops in temperature fairly low, and it's pretty wild. We get, probably 80 to 100 mile an hour winds at some point. So that anomaly is that low pressure system that keeps spitting out low pressure systems off of the peninsula, and they keep brushing past, and they usually go past Tasmania. So we know a fair bit about them in Australia because we're subject to the weather. Some of them can get pretty powerful, and seems like there's a lot more of them in the last few years. Those big Antarctic storms that come through. We don't get snow or anything, but we do get pretty wild weather. Winds that you would expect if you're in Antarctica, basically. It's crazy.
Isn't there mountains in Australia that get some snow?
Yeah, on the east coast. So I'm in the desert, basically. So I'm in the most remote, rugged city in Australia. So there's only a small mountain range here, but in the eastern states, they've got good snowfall through there. But that's the only place that snows in the entire continent.
Yeah, so I mean, so the winds down in Antarctica here can get upwards of 200 miles an hour, like in what is that, in some valley down there, and it's the driest place on Earth. So is that the lane in which you're in there? I'm not doing this video to find out the weather or anything. I'm just curious as to your perspective on.
Yeah, so those low pressure systems, they go through a lane down the Southern Ocean, and they go across the tip of Antarctica, and they go straight across the top. So sometimes they get a bit wayward if they get pushed up by a high pressure system. They get a bit wayward and they get pushed onto land here, because I'm not really that far. I think maybe 2,000 miles from Antarctica from where I live. So wow. It's not really that far.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, so how you been, brother? I mean, we haven't spoken in a very long time, and I'm kind of excited to finally touch base with you and see how our perspectives have changed in this search for truth.
Yeah, it's been a while. Just been working hard on my tarot, my magnum opus, and I've been living archetypes inside and out. So every day studying archetypes, studying people and seeing how they express those archetypes, studying like the collective influence, like collective archetypes and how they have effects on people, and the effects of archetypes at different consciousness levels, and also the ability to be able to change archetypes, being able to swap archetypes at will. So it's been pretty interesting. It's been pretty mind-blowing. A lot of good meaty information for my tarot, but yeah, it's just been intense, really.
Yes, I would agree. It's been so intense. You see my avatar right here for YouTube, the Anu.
Yep.
next to, look down the middle. It's got my freaking initials for my slightly slanted sleeve. It's got SSS, dude. It's got the inverse of the S and the outverse.
It does.
Yeah, I just noticed that, bro. That's pretty
Are
funny.
you really surprised though?
Huh?
Are you really surprised that that's the case though?
No, I'm not actually. I'm not. That's exactly what I was just gonna say to you, because when we first started talking, I was like, oh God, here we go. He's stuck on this, it's this way and this way only, thing where, I just realized when you were telling me the description of an archetype and earlier when, how we all fall into it, no matter if you're trying to or not. Now,
Yep.
when you get angry at somebody, why is that? What, in your opinion, why do you get angry with people or get frustrated or irritated with others? And I don't even know your answer to this, but I'm pretty sure how you're going to answer it. So what's your answer to that?
So obviously it works on a lot of different levels, but strictly from an archetypal level, I would say that it's a reaction to some sort of trauma or some sort of damage in the psychological archetype. So basically we all take on these archetypes no matter what we do. And say, for example, with me, because I don't have a great relationship with my mother, I have a damaged feminine archetype. So because of that, I find that sometimes I'm very reactive to my wife when she has something to say. I'm very reactive, and that's because of the trauma that's within my feminine archetype. So personally, from my personal perspective, that's what I find. But we all take on different archetypes. So if someone's the victim, for example, and they're taking on that victim archetype, if somebody tells them in any which way around way that they're not a victim, then of course they're going to lash out, because that's an attribute of that archetype. That whole entitlement. Don't tell me I'm not a victim.
So I agree with you.
That's my perspective. Since I've been living it myself and starting to understand how I assimilate these archetypes. But like I said, so many different levels. That's just the archetypal level.
That's the whole magnitude of everything, and that's where I think the word Magnus comes from, of your Magnus Opus.
Yep.
The different levels of the Shiva and Shakti, or different levels of everything, and that brings me to the axis mundi of our reality, and like the pyramid. The pyramid is to Egypt as our pineal is to our brain, right? That sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I think that the whole idea of ascension is merely just climbing the bricks of the pyramid structure. Everything is archetypal in our reality, and everything archetypal by natural law sticks to these pyramid structures. No matter how you look at things, you can always look at them from a power aspect, from a love aspect, from whatever aspect you like.
Yes,
you can look at it from a pyramidal structure. So I believe that ascension isn't that some wave's going to wipe over the earth and lift everyone's consciousness. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that it's just that humans, with their need to be able to strive for greatness and strive to become better, are eventually going to ascend collectively up that pyramid over the eons of time, till eventually we become, on a light consciousness with the top of the pyramid, the creator, the capstone.
The Ben
That's
yes.
why the capstone's missing, because humanity's not there yet.
Oh, and as a collective, maybe we will never be, but we are destined to be one, because we were one from the beginning, right?
Yep, and I think that's when you hear about all these people trying to manipulate reality, that's all they're trying to stop. Is trying to stop the collective ascension up the pyramid.
Yes, the 100th monkey effect from taking effect.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would agree with that. And that's nothing more than saying that, a snowball rolls downhill and gets bigger, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's just the way it is.
Yes.
There's positive and negative aspects to everything that you look at, and anything. I know that people like to dismiss looking at dualism as a way to, disseminate the truth. But I believe, in my understanding of archetypes, that, below the creator, below the infinite of all, you know, it is only dualistic from that point. The creator is,
yeah, definitely. Yep.
and anything that you look at apart from the creator is dualistic in nature, whether it's physical or non-physical.
Especially in the material matter world. That's what makes it matter, is the dualistic nature of it, right?
Yep,
Because
correct. And balance between however it is, whether it's 70-30 or whether it's 55-45. But the other thing I've found in archetypes is that nothing is ever 50-50 balanced, it seems, in nature. Nothing at all. So, for example,
beautiful.
If you look at either a man who identifies as a woman or a woman that identifies as a man, they could have all the surgery that they like. They could do everything they could to try and look like the opposite sex, but their genetics dictate that they are not that sex. So the most that they could ever become of that opposite sex is 45%. That's
and
one
the
way.
oxymoron to that is that's the reason for the transgender push these days, is because for some reason we're on the in-breath or something of the rhythm of our polarity, right?
Yep, and I think that's the push to try and transcend that polarity, and that's what's pushing easily these agendas, because of our natural need to be able to transcend the boundaries of our existence.
Hallelujah. Yes, hallelujah. And it's funny that I say hallelujah. Have you ever heard of Alan? I was watching SGD today, and this guy's, you know, he's done some amazing research in the whole numerology part, or number part of our reality. You know, the whole, it's like you were saying earlier, the whole magnitude levels or different aspects thereof, and how you can fit everything into one. It's like how you can break down the notes, the audible hearing part of our reality, the visual seeing part of our reality, and they always fall into a pattern, or a 7 or a 5 or a, you know. And the Fibonacci, my point with this is the Fibonacci sequence, it tells you right there what it's all about. And that's what, you know, that's what the 7 Hermetic principles tell you too, you know.
Yep. Absolutely, and it's all intertwined. As you know, I've been living the Hermetic principles probably 2 or 3 years now, day in and day out. And this archetype thing is just a continuation, you know, of my as above, so below research and work that I've been doing. So
Yep.
I find that everything is intertwined. All the Hermetic principles are all intertwined into this natural system and this natural law. And, you know, that's that implication of man's law, you know, and government law is exactly the same as all the other agendas that are being pushed to try and manipulate the natural course of history.
Yeah.
They're no different.
Exactly. I'm going to go to a screen share here, and I'm just going to prove what you just said by, you guys can, okay, yeah, there we go. Now I'm going to go on here. I think this will show up. Let's see. Maybe not. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, man.
I wonder if I'm sharing the right one. But yeah, okay, now that's exactly how, you know, I've been realizing the 5. Remember the 5 that we were stuck on, or you were stuck on, and you kept throwing it at me, and you'd say everything is related to 5, you know, da 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 da. What is your new understanding of the 5?
It hasn't really changed, to be honest. I still believe that, you know, beyond. So when you look at an archetypal scale and you look at the structure of the pyramid and pi, it goes 1, 2, 5. So I would say that that's the first, you know, the first branch of emanation beyond polarity itself, the positive and the negative. So
Yes.
that's why I see 5 expressed into so many different things, because, you know, it shows me that there's a base archetype at work there somewhere. It's the number 5. That's what it's showing me. So it hasn't really changed. Just my ability to be able to perceive what's going on when I see the 5 has probably got a little bit better. And I'm probably a little bit less obsessed with it now.
Yeah, and you know that I think that comes with the understanding, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh wait,
I
hang
think
on, I gotta shut this off, dude. Sorry, sorry. Hang on a second, bro. Wow, there's our reality in a nutshell, isn't it? Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, we're good now. I don't know why I did that. I just messed it all up. But
Shit.
yeah, but the five, yeah, the five is the process that one could look at how the seven hermetic principles lay themselves out, right? I mean, it's like there is a structure, like you said, the archetypical structure. See, I don't see things in the archetypical way like you do, and that's why I appreciate your input as to this stuff, because I just see it. I kind of like, I'm the cheat in class that likes to skip the process and get right down to the answer to the question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that
And I'm like the geeky kid who doesn't want to know the answers, even if they're on the sheet. I don't want, I don't want to be
beautiful.
told. I don't want to be told what something is. I want to find out for myself. You know.
Yeah, and Edna Bell says, and it's crisscrossed. That's a pretty good one. I like that.
Yeah. Everything
Crisscrossed.
is crystals. Everything.
Dude,
The
check this out. Look up at Orion. What does it look like to you? Just the outlay of the stars, the seven stars of the Orion, or not the nebula, but the Orion constellation. It's an hourglass, bro. It's an X. It's the inverse of the toroid.
Yep.
That's what an X is, right?
Yep. And I think that that's exactly how the masculine and the feminine, or the positive and the negative, that double helix structure. That's how everything that we look at when we're trying to look for truth, we find everything so convoluted. It's because it's so intertwined. It's
Mm-hmm.
intertwined on the masculine and the feminine, and the as above and the so below, and the law of vibration. You know, all of these aspects are all going on at the same time, and that's why like coming to an understanding about how it all works and how it all molds together, it is so hard, because you know we have so much cognitive dissonance, you know, trying to work out all these different levels of emanations, you know,
Well,
to
and then
find
when you first start waking up, you get stuck on the they're doing this and they're doing that, and we're screwed this and we're screwed that train, and it
yep,
convolutes it even more, doesn't it?
it does. And you know, it's a very narrow-minded understanding of what's truly going on, you know.
Man,
I think
brother,
that,
you have grown so fucking much. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but man, it's beautiful.
yeah, well, I just keep growing, I keep changing, I'm never the same. So
Exactly, bro. That for the mountain grows ever higher as the truth seeker climbs it. I mean, you're gonna always, and that's what it's all about, is it not? I mean,
yeah,
what fun would it be, or not fun, but what would be the purpose if that wasn't the case?
yep,
Yeah, like you said
exactly.
earlier.
And like, you know, that's also the same with gematria. I was stuck on gematria for a long time. I still do dabble in it to try and look for, you know, patterns and truths and stuff. But, you know, that's only one way that reality expresses itself, you know. And if you get stuck in the perception of one way that reality expresses itself, you're never going to be able to understand it on a wider scope. You know, you need to be able to look at all the different aspects that reality expresses itself. So you look at gematria, and it's so difficult to
Dude,
learn.
it's so plugged in though.
Yeah, it is so plugged in. But then you look at archetypes, for example. That's something that everybody can learn. That's not something that you need to be too smart or good with numbers, or
Right.
need, you
It
know,
grabs you.
100 hours of book study to sort of get a concept of what's going on. Quick 10-minute, you know, lecture from the right person who understands what archetypes are, and a whole new world opens up to you. You get to see things unfold. See, for
Yep.
me now, I can see when people are upset, or when they're, you know, when they're happy. I can see how conversations are going to unfold. I'll start to know what they're going to say, what their point's going to be before they get to their point, because I see them embody these archetypes. And when they do that, the possibilities of what they express are limited to what that archetype entails. So it's super, super interesting, man. It's crazy.
It makes you have a fervent desire. I mean, it just strengthens your want more and more, and solidifies your want for the need to know. See,
Yep.
I've stopped myself from saying believe lately because I think the word believe is really detrimental to us. I don't know why, but that's just one of those simple things that, it's kind of something that, you could just lay by the wayside. But, when you say belief to somebody, it like just snaps them. You know what I mean?
That a belief is a point of view, and a point of view is a scope of understanding based on where you're located.
Yes.
So I think that if you have any belief, you're limiting your potentiality to understand more than what you are.
I'd rather know than believe.
Yep, true.
Yes.
And I'd rather not believe anything and slowly work out the things that I find true and know, than just believe anything that I hear because I'm looking for answers.
Yeah, Raven Wolf, Anna says that she just spoke of archetypes today and about Carl Jung. And have you done any research into Carl Jung or?
Yeah, man. I'm actually accredited in Carl Jung psychotherapy, Jungian psychotherapy. So, yep.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I certainly do know a lot about Jung. So
there's a synchronicity, and maybe you can speak on what you think synchronicities are about in our reality.
Yeah, well, synchronicities is a little bit of a harder one for me because I had looked at it quite a few times to try and look at where the patterns lie in things. And, I really think at this point, without having a fundamental, understanding of it, I just think they're like biomimetic markers. Synchronicities show you that, the angle and the direction and the velocity in which you're traveling through this existence, is the same as the conduit of energy that you're flowing through. That's the best explanation that I can give in my limited understanding.
Yes, hey, that's right now. It's you probably understand the archetype, where I probably understand the I don't know, the inverse of that, which is pretty much I don't understand the whole, how well, I guess I do. I just don't look at it with the same wording, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's it. So, and for me at the moment, while I'm living this life of archetypes to help me with my tarot study, my perception is extremely limited at the moment. So I even find that my conversations that I have with people are archetypal in themselves. So it's my but it's something that I need to do. It's a role that I need to step in of and find a way back out of once I'm done with my research.
Well, isn't that know thyself? I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing when you're studying an archetype, because that which is within you is also within me, because I am you and you are me in the long and short of it.
Yep. And like we all have these archetypes in nature that express through us. And I think that when we get to a point of understanding how archetypes collectively and internally express through us, then we can sift through what the will of the collective is, what the will of the generational implant is, and what the will of our true self is, because our self is still independent of these archetypes. Although to exist in this natural, realm, we need to adhere to the natural law of the archetypes. We are still separate as a soul. We are still separate from that because we, as you say, are a part of the whole, part of God, or part of the universe, or whatever, who is or that is separate to the dualistic nature of everything below.
Vinny D says something that you'll like to key on. Says, I highly recommend for everyone to learn about tarot. It is neither evil or good.
Yep. Well, I think that that tarot is just a game of archetypes, and I think that it's good. I think that helping people understand the way that unconscious programs play out in them, I think it's a great thing. You know, you need to be able to understand it to transcend it, as I say. So, you know,
The Fool card now, the Fool card is the very first card, correct?
yep,
And is that not a man looking up with a dog?
yep,
And you could liken that to Sirius looking at Orion, right?
yep.
Yeah.
And you could also liken that to both you and I looking towards the mysteries.
Yes. Yes.
With our limited carnal knowledge, you know, our dog-like understanding of the nature of reality, you know, looking into the infiniteness and trying to find the truth, that is the archetype of the fool.
So the tarot is essentially telling us our hero's journey, isn't it? Is it not, in our aspects of our hero's journey?
Correct. That is exactly what the tarot is. So the tarot is based on the ancient Greek Tara, who was a god, and she was a hero. She was a goddess. She was a war hero. So the tarot actually originates from that, and I would say that all of the tarot are the tree of life of archetypes that sit underneath the hero.
Yeah. Dude.
That's what it is to me, you know. And as you know, man, I've dabbled a little bit in the tarot, so I've
Yes.
got a little bit of an opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? Without opinions, we would only have assholes.
That's exactly right.
I'm choking on my coffee.
Yeah,
you got me drink. You got me drinking coffee at midnight here in Minnesota because you're in Australia down under.
Oh yeah, it's 4:00 in the afternoon here, so it'll be late as there. I didn't realize.
Yeah, but that's cool, man. Hey, I put time aside for you, brother, because I really wanted to talk to you, and I could not have hoped for a better learning experience with the people I've, become close to and learning with in this whole situation, and I've recently had, what do you say to, like, right now, death has come visiting me lately in my life, it's like it doesn't show its face, and then all of a sudden, boom, the Grim Reaper's around every corner. What do you think that's about?
Well, it's not what I think that what it's about. It's what I know what it's about. My wife's a medium, so I know very well this. It's your fear expressing itself, your fear of death expressing itself in your life. It's the law of attraction, basically.
You know what? I think that's correct. I think that may be correct.
It is correct. That is 100% truth.
And it's because it's not that I'm scared of death. I'm scared of not completing the great work before I die.
Okay, but then that's not the only aspect. There are other aspects of death which are linked to that as well. If you have
the selfish aspect, I hear you about people leaving before you.
That and not dealing with the grief that's associated with your family and your friends leaving.
Why did you have to bring that up, man? Fucker. You're making me face it.
To bring up the truth, man. I'm not afraid to say it how it is.
I love you for it too.
It's just the expression of that. That's all it is, because you've got this investment. Your energetics are all invested into this particular paradigm, and that archetype wants to express itself through you because you're feeding it. That's just how nature is. So although it could potentially be that fear of not completing the great work, I would say more than likely, from my experience, I would say that I think it's more closely linked to traumas that you've held on to do with death.
Yeah, you're right. You're spot on with that, dude. You're spot on with that. That's I could make up all the excuses in the world, but yeah, that's the truth. What you just said right there. Because I've never dealt with my dad dying. I've never dealt with my dogs dying. You know, my dog dies and I'm devastated because you're as close to your animals as you are if you're a real person or a real,
Absolutely, man.
you know.
Absolutely. And you got to remember that that's in your nature. You're an emotional guy, you know, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and that's an attribute of that archetype, is that, you know, sometimes it gets too hard for you to be able to all absorb because you're so sensitive to it, and you choose not to take it on, or choose to place that energy in another place in a lockbox so that you don't have to absorb it, you know. And it's the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are energy sensitive, you know. That's a fact, and that's what energy sensitive people do.
Right. And Raven Wolf brings up something. People in every time period have been influenced by their ancestors' experiences. This means that the contents of the collective unconscious are the same for each individual within a culture. What do you think about
Correct.
that?
I think that's absolutely correct. And I was actually just thinking of something the other day. Ayers Rock, which is, I'm not sure if you know what it is. It's a huge rock in the outback of Australia. So
Yeah, it's like the big tree trunk that's in the middle
yep,
of
correct.
right.
Correct. I've been there and I've climbed it, but just this week, the government had passed laws so that people couldn't tread on the grounds, because, you know, the native people here, you know, it's their sacred land. It's the heart. It's the heart of the existence of their understanding. So, in a native story here, the idea is that Ayers Rock is the crown of the man of the earth, the old wise man, or the Magus archetype, and his head is exposed out of the ground, and the rest of him, his reaches root, you know, all the way down to the middle of the earth, like an old tree, you know. and and um, and to look back at that and think about that archetypally, here we have a large problem with, you know, European settlement and the natives here, and like bringing alcohol and drugs,
Right.
and them having a deeply, you know, systematically ingrained culture for thousands and thousands of years. It's completely been wiped out, exactly the same as the Native Americans, you know. And they've finally got their old man archetype back, which is great to see. But the thing about that is, in the last 60 to 70 years, since it's been open to walk on through tourism, there's been a large social breakdown in all Aboriginal communities pretty much across
Well,
Australia.
that's pretty much what we did to the Native American, or not we,
Yeah.
but you know
And that's because, so Ayers Rock being so symbolic to the people and being the old man archetype, what's happened for the last 50 or 60 years, the Magus, or the elder archetype, hasn't expressed itself through the Aboriginal communities because it's been suppressed and it's been walked on. You know, when the
yes.
dogma that connected to the land says that it shall not be walked on its sacred land. You know, so
Wow.
the archetypes express themselves through land. So I would like to see now that there's some sort of cultural shift now that the elders can take their place back. And I see that, you know, these archetypes, that's how they express themselves. And when, you know, when the feminine and the masculine, when they're suppressed in any single way, then we find that being, you know, being expressed into the collective incorrectly with damage, you know, with
Oh yeah.
a hurt point of view.
Just simply trying to deal with it is going to hurt
Yep.
on a collective basis, right?
Yep.
Because you're going to put in checks and balances, and then the entropy grows from there.
Correct.
Yes.
That's what I believe, because I believe in the Hermetic principles and I believe in cause and effect.
Yes.
You know, there's been, you know, 50 or 60 years of people trampling all over it for their own joy.
Yes.
You know, when it's
Dude, you got me ringing from head to toe with goosebumps right now, man.
Yeah,
and you know how I feel about that, brother. I love it.
I think that we as a people, we need to become conscious of these archetypes that play out, you know, so that we can help heal, because that, you know, it needs to be healed. These people need to be healed. These cultures are, you know, shattered because the natural way that they assimilate with nature you know, they can't do it the way they've been doing it for thousands of years, and they don't know where they're going. You know, they're like a lost.
It's everywhere right now, bro. It's everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere
It's
you look
systemic.
here in America, it's the same way.
Yep, and I've said it for years and years that the downfall of our society is the fact that we don't have a role of elders anymore. That is the downfall of our
The
society.
archetype of the family is
Yep.
gone.
Correct.
And we got the internet, we've got the blogs, we've got the YouTube, we've got the live stream.
Yep. And when you look at the archetype family, 2 parents and 3 kids, what does that make? 23 the phone. You know,
How did I know you were going to lead us back to that one?
It shows below polarity that there are these 5 other archetypes that govern. You know?
Yes. And that's beautiful. That I mean, it's not beautiful in that sense that you know, the whole of our existence is at risk because of our ignorance and our want for a side, or to choose either side. You know, one could say that without dualism, the material would not exist, but with it, the material is going to cease to exist. You know, isn't that just the conundrum that we face in the digging into these sort of truths?
No, and I think that's where the collective manipulation has come in. You know, that's.
Speak a little bit on that, because I was going to ask you something next, and it's kind of odd that you just said that. That's what I was leading into.
Sorry, mate. What were we talking about? Sorry, I got distracted.
Oh, you were just making an opinion on, you know, it got hijacked, or the collective, somebody's trying to manipulate it. And do you think it started with it's like recently I've noticed on the History Channel, I don't know if you've noticed this push, but the Giorgio, whatever his name is, the guy with the freaky funky hair, and Von Donigan, and all of them big names, the people that are pushing the alien agenda thing, you know, that. And it's just odd to me that the History Channel is allowing all this crazy stuff that you wouldn't even, not even a year ago, you would have heard about. Have you noticed this? Do you watch the History Channel at all, or do you pay attention to it?
I don't really watch TV at all. So
good for you. Good for you.
So I don't really watch the History Channel, but I see it and I understand it, because it's like it's the big distraction, you know. Like look at the
well, they're telling us to look outside. That's what extraterrestrial means. It's like look outside the terrestrial. Yep. That's where you'll find the answers. And that no, it's not that way.
and it's like, you know, we're coming of a time where we're collectively coming to a realization that the healing starts at home. You know, it doesn't start on the outside. It's not someone else that can fix you. It starts on the inside. You know, when you become better, your friends become better, and then their friends become better, and it's, you know, it's that domino effect. And yes, I think that
snowball rolling downhill gets bigger.
They're just distractions from the collective rays of consciousness, you know, as we move up the pyramid. They're distractions from keeping us realizing what the real goal is, you know.
In your opinion, when did that all start in our recent reality? Because I say recent because, you know, obviously there's been civilization after civilization that's been just gone, or you know, wiped off the map. Or, you know, I was starting to think for a minute there that everything was just a backstory that we'd have something to go on, you know. But I don't think that anymore. But you know what I mean?
I mean, I don't really know. I don't even know where to start. I don't really believe anything to do with that.
Where the whole manipulation of our reality is started. Looking out, you know, the whole push to look outside yourself.
I mean, as far as the reality that we've been told is, it probably started in the 50s and 60s. But I mean, I can't say what the truth is because I don't know it to be true. I can't say that the history that we know is correct. I can't say that it's incorrect, because I seriously refuse to say that I believe or I don't believe, because I don't know it for truth myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I mean, you can't jump on a bandwagon, saying this is that and that is this either way. I mean, just
Yeah,
because there's good proof for it is what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. And if there's something that I can experience,
Hmm.
to give myself an understanding, then sure, I'm willing to say. But I think maybe the last 30, 40 years is when the real manipulation has come in. But we know that, well, we think history tells us that Egyptians, used slavery, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Babylonians used slavery, Sumerians used slavery. So we know that some sort of collective, you know, psychological warfare has been going on for at least 4,000 years.
The whole haves and haves nots, right?
Yep.
Another dividing line.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the outlook of duality. You can look at it as in, like, duality is truth and everything has duality, or you can look at it as in everything is duality and I have to pick a side. I have to pick a point of view, you know?
Isn't
So
it
many
odd
people.
that the word divine and divide are just different in the word letters, D and N?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
what
so
what is what is divine anyway? What's the etymology behind that? I'd like to know.
well, we can look that up. Uh, I've been really digging into the etymology of words lately, and it's amazing. How in it's called the pleroma. The heavenly realm, or the realm that we are all striving to reach, and the nirvana, I suppose, it's pleroma. And dude, what do you have you done any digging into the 113-2020 thing that we came across?
I did an absolute shitload of meditations on it a while back. But my understanding of my understanding of things have changed a fair bit since then. So I was doing meditations on the astrological influence, but since then, with the work with archetypes, my idea of astrology has got really whacked out. It's really strange. So
Yeah, you're
um,
looking at the planets as gods, and that whole archetypical thing is
well,
how every
yeah,
planet fits, right?
it's like they express archetypes through them. That's true because they're a part of the natural law. But
Oh, you're
you know,
beyond that. You're
that's
surprising me
only
here.
what's that?
I said you're beyond that. You're surprising me here. Now, what?
Yeah, but
I don't
you
mean to
know
cut you off. I'm just excited.
that's just one way that reality expresses itself, astrology, and I don't think that the effect that it has on us is as strong as what archetypes are. So I think that whatever it could be, it's obviously going to be some sort of shift in harmonics or frequency, as it comes in and out, just like it does when all interstellar objects come through our solar system. But there's a lot of prophecy and a lot of numbers that line up with the 23, as we've outlined before. We did a show about it.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of things in history, a lot of civilization falls that have the same date numerology as this. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's right. It is equal to 23, right?
yeah,
It's great.
yeah,
And 9.
yeah, correct. So
Yes.
I don't know what is it a time where energy converges so that you know different energies, archetypes, whatever, can manifest things. That could be the case.
Dude, there's
Um,
23 in chat right now.
there you go.
That's just beautiful. Go
But
ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to share that with you.
no, that's all good, brother. But at the moment, I refuse to say that astrology has any influence on my psyche whatsoever. I'm
Dude,
taking.
people have been pushing me to say that something's gonna happen then, and I just can't. I just like I don't know. I don't know.
And I see that through archetypes, right? So people who are unconscious and who don't understand their own personalities, because everyone has multiple personalities, you know, they unconsciously take on archetypes. They play them out and they don't even know it. And I would say that it's much the same.
Yes. And it's the whole, you know, my journey started out with, you know, as a sky watcher, and I'm not knocking anybody that does that, you know, because it's, you know, obviously our environment's changing. But as you know, I mean, how is it possible that I start out looking for Nibiru in the sky and I find it within me, you know? And the word means the same thing, you know, a planet of the crossing, but it's a place of the crossing, you know, and that place is within us. But what are your thoughts on that? So things like that in our world. So it's more of the same, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, think about the big distraction once again, looking outwardly, and looking for
Very
the
good.
planet in the sky when
Wow.
you know it's right inside.
I don't know why I didn't just come to that and say it right there instead of asking you, but yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You know, that's just the same distraction as the aliens. Look at our potential family from light years away, and let's neglect the family that we live with. You know,
That's beautiful. I don't mean to have that menacing laugh, but that's so true.
yeah, yep, that's it. That's it. And that's the same archetype as like people that want to help other people, but they don't want to help themselves.
Yes, yes, and you know, I think we all have a little bit of that within us, and like
Yep,
you were saying to me, I don't want to deal with death, and that's maybe why I started doing this.
yep. Maybe it is. Maybe it
Totally
is.
truthful about it.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like, as much as we try and suppress it because we don't want to deal with it, it always finds a way to express itself. You can never bottle up something up, you know, forever. It'll always find a way to express itself. So I see these people that are running around trying to fix so much about themselves all at once, you know, and it's an absolute bloody shit fight. You know, they're so confused all the time and emotional. You know, I'm a strong believer in believing that if you just let go of your resistance, that, you know, these challenges that are logged inside of your psyche will find a way to express themselves when you don't put resistance towards them, you know?
That's pretty much seeking calming your mind. Same thing, just let go and it'll all work out. I mean, that's what
Yep,
you mean.
exactly right. And knowing that, like, you know, I find a lot of things that I've held inside and neglected, you know, when I've finally said, okay, well, I'm just going to let it be and be what it is. And if it affects me, it affects me. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, I've found that sometimes it's been a couple of years before it's bubbled up to the surface. You know, it doesn't mean that just by surrendering to it doesn't mean that you're going to be hit with all of this information at once and you're going to go into meltdown. You know, you're moving into the frequency where you're allowing things to come with ease to you, you know, so it's going to come with ease because, you know, if you don't have resistance, all you have left is ease.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wow. That would be go to your happy place or whatever, but I mean, just
Yep.
you know,
Whatever.
I'm guilty of not thinking all the time. So is not thinking and clearing your mind the same? That was a joke, one. I mean, I'm not trying to put you on a confusing or convoluted spot right there.
That was a super interesting question. I was pondering that for a second. That's
yeah, I kind of let into it a bit, but you know, sometimes my words come out of my mouth before I think. So, but boom, you get it. Oh God.
So what do you think about the alignment? What have you found?
I think it's a persona or a representation. I'm guilty of saying personification when things are representations, and or in your mind or in your wording, it would be archetypical of how I'm seeing reality right now. You know, and that's what I just pretty much think, and that's why I always tell somebody that, you know, people try to get out of me what it means. Maybe it means that it's just showing us that, you know, we all come from, you know, like it's the trapezium open star cluster. That's the, in my mind, you know, that was one of the first exoteric things that pointed me to an esoteric answer.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? It's the cross, because the trapezium open star cluster is a cluster. The main stars are 5 main stars, and they form a cross. The top being a
Yep.
binary. So what does that tell you? You know, out of dualism comes the crossing. You know, so I mean, it's just like, how can it all line up like that?
That 1, 2, and 5, you know? And
yes.
that's,
and in the word is trap, easy, I am.
yeah.
Let's speak a little on that, on how reincarnation can be viewed as a trap, or it can be viewed as a gender issue. What is your outlook on that?
Well, I'm not really even that sure on the concept of reincarnation anymore. I used to have a good idea of what I thought it was, but
what do you think it is?
Well, you know, I
do you
find
think
it hard.
do you have the outlook like we're radios and we're receiving a signal?
Yeah, basically.
Dude, my dog looked at me the same way my dad did when he died.
Yep.
That's what you mean?
Yep.
So how does the Akasha come into our into play then?
Well, if you're looking at it that way, you know, the Akashic is like the
Water?
barrier outside of the conduit, you know, that all the information within the line of flow of energy.
Yeah.
The linear flow of energy, that's the Akashic.
Or
and that's
the
why
Schwarzschild radius for those that are into physics.
There you go.
Right? Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I don't. I've never heard of it.
The Schwartz, or it's the event horizon. You know, that where all the information from the, you know, from the inverse is displayed on the outward, on the out.
Yep.
That's,
well, everything is mirrored, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, because I've been thinking the same thing lately. So what do you think the whole mighty spirit of light that shines through the cosmos, draw my flame closer in harmony to thee, draw me in power to melt in thy, or you know, that whole verse in there that says, draw me in power to melt in thy furnace, one with all things and all things, and one fire of the life strain and one with the brain. What do you think that means?
That's just expressing the urge for, you know, Hermes to want to be able to assimilate himself with the everything.
What is Hermes to you now?
Hermes is a line. I think, like, you know, history has, like, Shakespeare, for example, is not one man. It's, you know, it's a conglomeration of different writers that wrote Shakespeare's works. You know,
Yes.
I think
Hermes,
that's
how I see it too.
I think that it was a group of mages that were, you know, in some sort of society of knowledge that decided to library the information that had been, you know, researched and passed on through generations. That's what I think it is, because I've noticed a lot of inconsistencies within the writings, like, because I've read, you know, a lot of the Hermetica. I find a lot of inconsistencies in the way that, you know, in the archetypal train of thoughts. When I look at it from an archetypal standpoint, I can see where things are different. You know, if Hermes was one man, it would express itself in a certain way, you know, but because it's being expressed in so many different ways, it leads me to believe that it's multiple people doing it, or he was drawing the energy from the ether and from different places within the ether, and that expressed itself through the writings. That's also a possibility, but I reckon it's multiple people.
Yeah, you could say is the ultimate archetype of the personification of a collective unconscious, right? Or back like the backdrop or the microwave background of our existence, the potentiality of the waters of noon, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's Yeah, and you're right. I think that's exactly where the collective consciousness is.
Yes.
It's like the primordial soup that's attached to everything that isn't
Yes.
actually a part of it.
It's the EKG machine, what the EKG machine picks up on the EKG. Yeah, it's that energy.
Or background radiation, or the Schumann resonance, for example. That
Right.
that's another way to explain how it's expressing itself.
Yes, the unmanifest becomes manifest through the five in the process, or in the loop of seven.
Yep, correct. And what I find is that they don't just express themselves in one of the five, they express themselves in all five. So, for example, fire, I find that it expresses itself in, fire at 80%, earth at 10%, air at 5%, water at 5%. I find that due to the archetypal structure, nothing's ever 100%. Something's always missing a part of the whole. Just like we are a part of the whole, but we are missing the perception of the whole.
Yeah.
Because we're missing a part of the picture.
Yeah, the whole God isn't all, but all isn't God.
Yep.
And we look up at these stars in the sky, and what is your thoughts on? Do you think that is just another aspect, or another five of our, another magnitude, or another, what I mean, a different level of what we are internally? Is that how you see it too? Or
I do see that. So, just like all the effects that we have, all these outside effects, because we are products of our environment, all of them are archetypal in scale as well. So, I would say that there are a lot of different effects that affect us at the same time, archetypes being dominant. And I would say that, that astrology and the astrological influence holds a slice of that pie as well, So for example, if you're obsessed with astrology, your focus is going to be on the astrological part of the pie. So your perception is reduced down to that part of the pie, and it's going to manifest itself, within you. But if you understand that you're a whole part of the pie and that's only a small aspect of yourself, then only a small aspect of that is going to express itself through you. So, I think that if you put all your energy into saying, this upcoming alignment, like, what does it mean? Like, what is going to happen? I think you're allowing, you're moving into a paradigm where you've got a limited perception. If you say, well, I understand that astrological influence is only a small slice of the pie, so it's more than likely that it's not going to affect me at all. That's what's going to manifest into reality.
Yeah, in a way, I agree with that, but you know where I'm going to go with that. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly where you're going to go with that.
You know what I was going to say before I say it.
Yeah.
That's where your studies are bringing you, and you know
Because
what?
I understand that point of view, as well.
Yeah. And I don't even need to say it because I think everybody knows what I was about to say, and it doesn't need to be said. But you're right in the manner in which, if you think you are downtrodden and you're going to struggle, that's what's going to happen. I mean,
absolutely.
In a nutshell.
And that is what happens.
What was that?
And that is what happens. It's not what's going to happen. It's what does happen.
Yes. Cause
if you
and
think you're never
effect.
get anywhere, you're never ever going to get anywhere. But if you think you're destined for great things, then you're going to become great at something.
Yes. And what are you great at?
What am I great at?
Yeah.
I'm great at craftsmanship with timber. That's what I'm great at.
Nice. Nice.
I'm good at building custom houses. That's what I'm good at.
That's what you do?
And I'm getting good at archetypes
You're
too.
a carpenter?
Yeah. Yep, I certainly am.
No shit, dude. Wow.
Mm.
That is so spot on. Jerry Runk is a freaking carpenter.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a good one too, man. I actually went down. If you lived in the States, dude, I'd make a trip to meet you, brother. You know,
Yeah. Awesome.
I made a trip to meet Jerry, and Jerry's a hell of a guy. But yeah, he's a carpenter, and I'm a stonemason. And my last name is Stone. I mean, come on.
Yep.
I
There you
mean,
go. Yeah, I'm a cabinet maker and a carpenter by trade. I've got double
nice,
trade.
nice.
So,
What does your name mean? Your given name?
Aaron.
Yeah.
So Aaron held the rod for Moses. Apparently, he was bestowed the power of the rod.
Nice.
But
What is Moses?
that
What is Moses to you today?
I don't know, some character.
Mhm.
I think Moses is the archetype of the magus, the wise man.
Or could it be the light?
It could be.
Yes, and I think that's
Well,
why he was described the way he was when he came down from the mountain, and I think that's
yep,
the
he's
same
the
same
wise
with
man that sheds the light on the darkness of the people,
yes,
and
yeah,
reveals the truth.
yeah, right. And the without the dark, there'd be no light aspect of our reality. There's no getting around that, and dude, it's so beautiful just to hear people speak like I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of
I'm hearing it.
refreshing because it's hard to come by these days, except for the people we are within the circles that we're frequenting. But even there, it's hard to find.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations with each other on air and off air.
Yes.
We've gone deep on a lot of different things.
Hey, remember New Year's, dude? Remember the
Yeah.
fear I was going through? Remember
Yep. Yep. I remember that. And the best thing is that we speak to each other probably once every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and we both say, fuck, I was naive then. I was stupid, to think what I thought. Now I think something totally different, That's the beauty of the chase. Love it.
Yes, it is the beauty of the chase. Yet it can be a double-edged sword sometimes when you come to realizations that I don't know. Actually, I've never found anything that is the negative as far as the knowing. Now, the tree of life, I see the tree of life as the self-replicating, like you just made the description, or you described the old man in the desert rock that you climbed.
Yep.
The whole thing. Now, that's exactly how I see the tree of life, where the Malkuth is the earth, and and that's the base or the lower realm, right?
Yep.
And
Correct.
then you rise up. It's like the freaking like everything else. It's
Yeah.
the mountain of truth. We climb like the pyramid, correct?
Yeah. The moon, the astral realm, and then it's all the same. It's exactly the same pyramid. It is exactly the same pyramid, because if you expand on the Sephiroth further and further your studies, you'll find out that each one of the main Sephiroth all have different emanations that emanate from them with different characteristics. So it's exactly like a tree's, even though the tree is growing out of the ground, it's almost like the tree is growing underneath the ground and roots go outwards.
Okay, now there's one thing I wanted to. So the whole gender aspect or principle of the Hermetic principles. What
Yeah.
is your take on that?
I think that gender is ineffable. It's like a building block of reality. I think that no matter how people choose to perceive that, it is what it is. And, gender is the same as polarity. It's the same. It's exactly the same thing. And these rules of gender, these ways that the creator chooses to express itself, they're held in the boundaries within that.
I think now this is where we split on, because you thought, or you expressed to me the there is no one without the other, or there is no self-replication or regeneration without the two, right?
Yep.
You know what? I just came to it right as I was saying it, dude. But yeah, you're right. You're right, because because I was coming to the whole, because gender to me is what I see it as, because I've looked it up, and the etymology of it is it's regeneration, it's generation.
Yep.
Gender, that's what gender means. It's not male or female in a sense that it's just the only begotten comes up, actually, to beget, to be birthed, or to give birth, or that whole thing. So as I was just saying that I disagreed with you, dude, I can't, because it does take two to tango. It is that the divine union that creates that which creates us. That's how I see it.
And that the self-replicating, like the Anu is a perfect description of that, right? So it's self-replicating, right? It replicates. So there must be some sort of unseen force that deteriorates the force that needs to be replicated. Otherwise, why would there be a need for replication? So just because we don't see the force that affects it does not mean that it doesn't exist. And I think
it's the neutrino, man. That is the weak force of our paradigm, is the neutrino, in the physics sense of it.
Yep, and there's as well as I do, and I'm sure every single person listening knows that everything in this reality that is natural is divinely encoded. Yes.
Everything is, and there's messages in our DNA from God, they say.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's like the freaking Anu right there. It says SSS, and then it's got backwards S's in it. It's like, what the hell?
It's mirrored too.
I don't think people see it on my YouTube picture, because I think they're just seeing my YouTube picture. Here, I don't know why, but I'm going to change this. Maybe that'll be it. Hang on, I got to change it. But yeah, go ahead. The Anu, speak on that, because I think that the Anu is what modern physics want to call a black hole. And I think we all exist within a structure such as that, where there's an in-breath and an out-breath. And like the Roger Penrose, are you familiar with his research?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole twister thing. And in the universe after universe, and there's the Big Bang is the all-encompassing thing, but I don't think he even got into that. But explain how you see that. Like recently, Nassim Haramein has come out and said, the microwave background is the black hole eating the matter, and we're on the inside looking out. So that's what we're seeing, is it as a background radiation, where if we were outside looking in, we would see it as a freaking sun, or a ball of light.
Well, that's a theory. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think
Hello?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yep. The black hole and the capstone of the pyramid, I think they're closely linked together. And I think that is the place of creation. So maybe a black hole is the place of creation. Maybe the black hole sun, the sun is our creator on a natural level. It regulates everything on our planet. Maybe the black hole sun is the opposite, is the creator of the non-physical. Who knows? I don't really know. to be honest. It's not
Yeah.
really.
You haven't
It
looked
used to
into
be
that?
something that I would, what's that, man?
You haven't looked into that aspect of it, or?
No, it's not really something that I'm really interested in. You know, I'm more interested. It was at a time, but now I'm more interested in society and what society is doing. You know, as a whole, and how people are evolving consciously and psychologically. I've sort of taken my focus away from, you know, trying to find the convoluted answers of the nature of life and sort of just observe how it expresses itself rather than have someone jam some information that I don't understand down my throat, you know?
You know, isn't that
That's probably
God,
the best way I look at Nassim Harriman's work. Like, I see he's a great mind, you know, he's obviously doing a lot of good in the research, but to
yeah.
me, you know, that doesn't really matter to me. I couldn't care less if, you know, this is a holographic projection or this is a prison or whatever, you know?
Yeah, you want to deal with the nitty gritty, the here and now, what you can deal with, and you're a pragmatic esoteric researcher, where
Yeah,
me,
I
I'm
want to
a more, yeah.
I want to look at ways to like help lift us all up as a collective instead of reaching for the information, you know, and separating myself from the collective. And I think that's like a byproduct archetypally when you reach certain truths, you segregate yourself from the rest of the pack. You know, that's just what happens archetypally. And I don't really want to be in that position, you know. I want to be relatable and be able to, you know, talk about things that people understand rather than things that are beyond people's scope of information and perception, you know. And I think like talking about, you know, perceptions of black holes and, you know, how we look out from a sun, yeah, it's cool, but to be frank, like it's not really anything that I really care about anymore. Wasted
Okay.
energy. Can be putting energy into like spending time with the family or researching, you know, what's important to me, which is like archetypes and the tarot and stuff like that. I tried to like stay away from that because it's not a passion of mine. And I
Yep.
find that if you're not pursuing your passion, then you're just wasting your time.
Yeah, me, I've got to figure out how everything works, and I, you know, if I'm in a car, I want to, or if I smell something and I'm in the car, I want to know where it came from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
I'm much the same too. I do, but when it comes to like the nature of our physical, you know, existence from a scientific standpoint, I'm not really interested in the sciences of others. I'm interested in creating my own sciences, you know?
yeah. And Shauna D brings up a good point. Many people are like, I'm a starseed and don't even want to be human. And I think it's causing a discordant energy into the collective. That's
Yep.
pretty much what you're saying there, right?
Yep. And this is how this collective manipulation is occurring. You know, through the manipulation of archetypes. You know, because on one level, yeah, we are human. That's an archetype as well. If we're dissociating from who we truly are, there's all kinds of chaos that happens in our psyche because of that. You know, and like I was talking about before about Europeans settling, you know, and taking over natives and the amount of trouble that they have changing the way that's been doctrined into them for thousands of years. It's much exactly the same as that.
Yes. Yes. It's so have you ever done any looking into Mars? You know, and what is your opinion of Mars? Do you think the whole, or haven't you even looked there?
Yeah, well, I have, because I have dabbled in a bit of astrology and stuff in the past, and I've done lots of meditations about Mars energy and stuff like that. But like I said, I think we as humans, we like to put value on everything. So Mars is what Mars is, and I think that's separate to the idea that we have a collective of what Mars is, if you get what I mean.
Yes.
And I think that Mars does have a specific energy, and that energy, aligns with the harmonics of, our solar system. But to say that war and famine and stuff like that, I believe that all that could be transcended with understanding. I think the only thing that brings on things like Mars and all the negative connotations, that come with it is lack of understanding.
Yes. Well, that's the top of the tree of life. The Kether is understanding. I mean, or no, the Kether is reason, which we gain. We gain reason from wisdom and understanding.
Correct.
Yes, that's the tree of life. The top of the three of the tree of life, right?
Correct. And the reason is illumination.
Thank you.
It's being able to see all of the different aspects that are expressing themselves and being able to quickly put them together and come to a conclusion that is absolute truth.
Yes. That's to me, that's what the beginning of the Genesis story is the word was with God, the God, and God was the word, that whole thing. But you just you replace the word with truth.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about,
Yeah. What's your truth, Steve?
My truth is that I'm looking for it. That's my truth.
What's the truth that you already have?
What I see it as I've had so much. 2019 has been the biggest year of my life as far as this whole search. And it's because I don't know if it's because I have certain people I've met, like yourself, like several other people, a couple people in chat here, or Phil. Phil's been a big part of my understanding lately, and you, and as well as just me thinking things through. It has led me to that there is a single point of truth that nobody can, it's inescapable, and it's beginning to show itself to me in, like you were just talking about, the Magnus Opus, or it's the great work. It's what it's all about. I mean, it's going to rear its face in every aspect of our life, and it comes down to that it's our transient nature that we must transcend in order to John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that he who shall believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Now, I understand that's an archetypical way of looking at it, or a dogmatic double-edged sword to look at, because if we don't even have to go into that, but the essence of what that is to me is that if we see the light, we will live forever. Whether that forever is, we're going to live forever anyway. But I mean, you know what I'm saying there.
Yeah,
that's the truth. And the illumination of our minds is what it's all about.
Yeah, and I would say that another way that, so the archetype of the great work has also been manipulated. People believe that the great work is this understanding of everything, this complete illumination of everything that exists in time and space and beyond. But it's not the case.
I don't agree with that.
Magnum opuses are particularly their own niche. The thing that the paradigm that they can put themselves into to help the collective around them. The true great work is lifting up your brothers around you.
Yep. Realizing that you are me.
It's different for all people.
Yes. Love, I guess, is the truth.
Yeah, and my magnum opus is Archetypes and Tarot. And I know that, I can already see after a few years of being deep into it, I can see the holes in the work of people like Jung where they didn't quite get it right, and that's why this is my magnum opus, because I can see the holes because I'm using my reason, because I'm putting myself into the paradigm and experiencing it rather than reading it, you know?
Right there, the word reason, dude. Right there, you just hit it on the head. You know, you can use your reason, and it gives you reason.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
for example, I would say that I'm becoming illuminated in the realm of archetypes, right? But I still, when I get home from work and I've had a big day, I'll put my wallet in the bloody fridge, you know, or I'll put the milk in the cupboard, you know, just like a non-conscious thing to do. Just, you know, what I would say to myself is stupidity almost, you know, yet I can go deep into the archetypes and understand them in ways that other people can't using my reason, you know, and that's something that I found is like, just because you're doing your, you know, your life's work and you're becoming illuminated in specific parts of yourself and specific parts of reality, it doesn't mean that it's going to express itself all the way through your life. And I think that, you know, it doesn't mean that all of your worries and strifes are going to go away. You know, it doesn't mean that at all. You're still going to have the same, you know, challenges. It's not going to change, you know, when you become illuminated. And I think that's a lot of the that's a lot of what scares people away from, you know, researching esoteric, because when they realize the magnitude of the information, they think they need to understand everything.
Right.
You know, it's like an all or nothing mentality. When the case is archetypally, you are only potentially able to see a certain scope based on the way that you were created. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
to provide something to humanity that nobody else can provide.
First and foremost is, you know, treat your brother as you'd have to want it, or like you want to be treated. I mean, and
Yep.
it sounds like a cliche, you know. I mean, isn't it odd that, you know, we're taught to, this world's a dog eat dog, you know, got to get yours and get yours while getting's good type society. I mean, and it's actually what we need to live by. Not we have to go the opposite from that, and it's the whole paradigm is, if shit does hit the fan, are you going to be the one that drives by the family that's down on the side of the road, and you're going to just go whizzing by them and say, oh, we ain't got enough for them, you know?
No way.
Right. Right.
No way. And I think that it's in our nature as beings, as humans, as energy to want to do that. I think it's the manipulation and the skewed perception of the archetypes that makes us behave differently.
Or you could say it's the, you know, the whole fear aspect where our society wants, or the elites or whoever is pushing this, they want us to think that, or, and I don't even like saying the word they anymore. And that's just, it sounds like I'm putting a blame on somebody else. And I don't even mean it that way. But it's like how we believe that everybody's going to do everybody in, and they're going to all just, you know, rob everybody. And if shit hits the fan, you better have enough bullets to shoot everybody. And, you know,
yep.
So that fits right into it.
And that, yeah, I think that's just not the case at all, you know?
I don't know. I agree with you. I think when stuff really goes awry, I think we would be there to pick each other up, and we would, and it shows itself every time there's a hurricane, you know, how people help each other.
Yeah. And this is why I want to teach people the value of being able to step into archetypes, right? So think about a crisis situation where people everywhere need help. You have a conscious choice that you can make because you understand that you can empower yourself, and you go, I can choose to be the victim, or I can take the road of the hero. You know, when you say I choose the road of the hero, you're going to pick those people up on the side of the road. When you choose the path of the victim, you're only thinking of yourself. You know, and I think that people don't understand that they have the choice of being the hero, because the collective tells them that they're the victim.
Well, isn't that what everything in our world, everything that grabs us is a good hero's journey story, right?
Yep.
Isn't that the path of the sun? Isn't that the path of our psyche?
Yep, it is. It is.
That's beautiful.
That's exactly what it is. It's the Sephiroth is the hero's journey from the bottom to the top. up from a
Yes.
spiritual standpoint, you know.
The tarot is the same way. I mean, you're born into this world of fool.
That's a hero's journey from an archetypical standpoint, you know.
Yes. Yes.
There's so many different emanations of the way that it expresses itself. Tarot being one, archetypes, you know, being a part of the tarot, but still being something separate to that altogether.
Right. Well, hey, brother, you know, I don't know. Is there anything you want to add, or you know, I love the outlook. I love the answers. And I love you, brother. I love the way you're looking at life,
Love
and
you too, man.
you know, it's just awesome, dude. It's completely awesome.
Yeah,
And
my young boy has squared my perspective on life a lot and got me in the right flow to be able to manifest what I want in my life. So it's changed my perspective a lot. I'm a lot more confident now in what I'm doing. You know, I don't think to myself every day, should I be wasting my time researching this, you know, or anything like that. I'm in a better space. Had a couple of monster medicine trips that have absolutely torn me apart in ways that I couldn't even begin to explain, which have also been extremely helpful. You know, everything's going good, man, because I'm choosing for it to.
Vinny D wants to know what's your favorite tarot card.
It would have to be the Magus. It would have to be because
Which number is that?
Hey,
Which number is that?
I can't even remember what number the Magus is. Is it 10? But anyway, the Magus.
Sorry to put you on the spot, brother.
That's a good man. That's a good. I have to cycle. I remember them all by name in their order, but not their numbers. So I have to cycle through each single one till I get there. But yeah,
is the Magician? Is that the Magnus?
What's that? Sorry.
Is the Magician the Magnus? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, correct. Yep, the same.
Yeah,
and that's because I sort of strive to embody that archetype, I guess. That's why it's my favorite. I also like the Prince of Swords as well. But probably the Magus I feel the closest to, and probably that's the archetype that I try to embody the most, because I find that, you know, it strives me in my thinking to stop being such a narrow-minded ignoramus and look beyond the scope of my understanding to see what else is possible. So, yes. You know,
I've been battling this irritation within me about how people have voiced, just to me, which is, you know, stuff that convolutes everything even more. But maybe I should just sit back and see it for what it is, and it's probably within me that I'm frustrated. Yeah, and I got you to bring that brought that up tonight to say thank you for. And I mean, thanks, man. I mean, because that
is a frustration of yourself, because you at a point have been there and realized how ignorant you were, and you're genuine. You want to help your fellow man. You know, so it hurts you to see them in that sort of frequency. You know, that's beautiful. That's the underlying issue that's going on. You know, it's beautiful, and it's expressing itself because that's a part of yourself that you haven't healed yet. You know, just the fact that you think that you're ignorant and stupid for believing that, and I know I still do about a lot of things. That shows that there's hurt still about that. You know, the feeling of like not being good enough or whatever. And I think that's why you're upset, man, you know, because, you know, you see it for what it is, and you don't wish anyone to go through the traumas that you went through experiencing the same route that they did.
Yeah, that's essentially probably what it is. And the whole matter of me and my journey is, I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. That's especially you right now because I'm talking to you, of course. But I mean, dude, you've helped me in major ways, and I couldn't thank you enough, man. I mean, there's not words I could express to you on a live stream that you would even convey how much I appreciate it.
Hey man, and you've helped me a lot. And you know, with the conversations I've had with people in the chat in the comments before, like literally hundreds of people that watch your show have helped me in my perception, whether they've made me question my own perception or they've given a questionable perception that's made me question my own perception. Either way, you know, I think that's exactly, you're creating a situation where that's able to be possible, where people's perceptions, you know, are able to be widened. And for that, you're the man.
Well, I just want to be I don't know. I just want to be help is what I want to be. I want to be helpful, and that's all I'm striving for. You know, I started this as a selfish endeavor, and I'm not gonna lie to you that I had no outlet for my thoughts, and you know, because everybody was calling me crazy because I was on the whole planet's coming to smash us train, you know. And I don't.
And look what it did. Look what you taking that opportunity did. It pushed you out of that paradigm because you put yourself into a realm of possibility. You know, if you'd never find a way to express yourself, then that would have been trapped inside of you and it would have sent you crazy. But because you found that outlet and you found a way to express yourself, you know, who's to say your YouTube channel isn't your magnum opus? You know, you're
Right.
not aware of the effect that you're having on other people, you know, and how far that effect is reaching. You know what I mean? It could be more than you or I could ever conceptualize, you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's when I get one positive feedback from somebody that I can tell truly means what they're commenting, and it's not some contrived, you know, who the hell do you think you are? You're this or you're that, or you know, may the Lord of this or that come down upon you because you're this or that. You know, when people come across as genuine, you can feel it and you know it, and that does make me feel good. I mean, every time I get the goosebumps when I hear truth out of your mouth, it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Just for that alone, I'll do this, you know?
And for me, you know, like just being able to talk with you on the scope and the level of things that are going on in my mind, you know, the conversations I can have with you are like conversations that I can't have with anyone else. You know what I mean? So it's helpful for me. It's an outlet for me to express my thoughts to you, man, because, you know, we're always bouncing ideas off each other. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. But hey, bud, it's getting late here. It's like 1:35 now. I got a tree to cut down. I rented a lift that's 50 feet and it goes 51 feet in the air, dude. And I'm scared of heights. And this today, oh my God, dude, it was crazy, you know. And this tree is hanging over my house, looming over my house, gonna smash my house. And I've got it until 2 p.m. tomorrow, so I have to get up early and start a chainsaw. You're gonna have to send me some pictures of your custom homework, dude.
Yeah, I will. If I had the video working on my phone right now, I could show you what's going on in my garage at the moment. So I've got a nice thing going on in my garage with everything set up, but I couldn't get the camera working. So unfortunately, we have to save it for next time, maybe.
Yeah, and I apologize to everybody here in chat, you know, or you know, watching this live stream. Hopefully, that our audio was intriguing enough for you to look at my name, because I think all we're seeing on YouTube is my name slightly slanted, and it doesn't even say the whole name. But we were honored. I was honored enough I was lucky enough to have Aaron Price from Australia. School of go ahead, tell him your name, Aaron.
Australian School of Esoterica.
There you go. Sorry, brother. And he was nice enough to come and join us in this conversation. So hopefully it was intriguing enough for you to listen to and look at a black screen with my half name up there. But thank you, Brandy, Vinny, everybody, Catherine, Max, thanks all you guys for being here and conversing, and Yawanoa, all of you. Thanks for joining us. And, with that, I'll say good night and love, peace, chicken grease. But yeah, Aaron, we'll have to do this again sometime soon, brother.
For sure, brother. Be my pleasure.